We were just saying we felt like it'd been forever since we sat down to do our last
Yeah,
video.
we've done a lot since then. We've been fishing hard and having a good time.
Yeah.
Even took a little time off.
A professional development trip.
Yeah. It is. This is March 31st, last day of the month, and I would say overall, as far as local red, like I said, we professionally developed local red fishing. I definitely undersold March. It was better than I expected it to be.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely had some days in March that were tough. You know,
Yes.
like it was windy. You know, even if you found fish, it was difficult getting them to
Yes.
eat.
Yes.
You know, so you could see a bunch of fish that just you couldn't catch, and that's frustrating. But I would say I would agree that as a whole, I think that March has been better than I remember the last couple Marches being, at least.
Yeah, it was generally good to decent fishing.
Yeah.
Like good time to get out in the water, beautiful weather.
Still, still hopping around.
Yeah, when I say beautiful weather, I mean like nice temperatures. The wind was definitely blowing.
Yeah, and just like as far as finding happy fish, there's plenty of days still. Like, I had probably very few days, honestly, that wherever we went, there was happy fish. It was a lot more days of hopping around, finding the happy fish that are willing to eat. And sometimes you have to leave fish to find fish.
I don't think I had. So that being said, I cannot remember a single day this past month where everywhere I went there were happy fish.
Yeah, there's that one day for me.
I definitely left fish. Like I've definitely did a lot of leaving unhappy fish to find happy fish.
But as long as you keep looking,
and generally
you're able to find.
And that's what I was saying. Most days this past month, there were a few really tough days, but most days this past month, we were able to find fish that wanted to play.
Yeah,
which
I think
was nice.
Just kind of like thinking back on the month, like one of the most difficult days that I had on the water, we didn't even see fish for the first 3.5 hours. Like I take that back. We saw a couple here and there, but it was like, oh, there goes a fish. And then towards the end of the day, we were able to find a couple spots that had happy fish. So they're definitely out there. You just got to some days work a little bit harder than others. And but I agree. I think that we kind of undersold March, and there's definitely been some storms that have rolled through. Some days that the weather was supposed to be incredibly nice, and it ended up blowing 20 sustained.
Yeah, those last week, those couple of days that where it was like, where did this wind come from? Fortunately, we found some happy fish before, I think both of those days, before the storms, or I say storms, wind, just freaking howling wind. And it was like, what is this?
Well, I had those guys, you fished them one day, and then I fished them the next day.
Yeah,
so we fly fished all day while it was nice. And then it was like, the wind's supposed to just nosedive and just be non-existent, and it was blowing 20. And so they were like, can we throw a spin? And I was like, absolutely.
Well, that's a really good, and I've said this before in these videos and at different times, like this March and April are a great time to throw a spin. While it's definitely because of the wind, the fish being finicky, when on the few trips that we were throwing spin this past month, we were generally when we could there was one day we couldn't find them, but generally when we were throwing spin, when I could find the fish and we threw a just regular old Z-Man paddle tail through the school, boom, we were catching fish. There was one day where it was really challenging to find the fish, but generally, the spin, it's a great time. One of my favorite times, if I'm going to pull out spin tackle, this is generally a hot trout bite in the winter, and March and April are generally when I lean towards like, hey, it's probably a good day for spin. And a lot of it has to do with the wind and stuff.
That being said, like we've caught, I had a few spin trips this month as well, and the fishing was really good for spin, and we actually caught a couple like stud trout. At least,
And you guys
for South Carolina. 4-inch, paddlers.
Classic.
I was throwing electric chicken.
I'm still throwing those white slam shady paddle tails. They go in front of the fish.
I do in the spring find myself for spin fishing throwing brighter paddle tails because I want to get their attention. The bait's coming back in, the water's warming up. Yes. There's essentially a buffet of food for them to eat. So if I can do something bright to get their attention and it's swimming along, a lot of times they're going to eat it.
And another, just rolling right along, you know, the water temp's about 65, 64, 65.
Yeah, either side is 64,
what I've been,
65.
What I've been seeing. So, you know, I'm starting to get people asking, had somebody hit me up, hey, are the flood tides starting? And I would say yes. With that warming water, the fiddler crabs are coming out.
Started to see some fiddler crabs.
The water
also
well
started to
up.
see some turtles, fiddler crabs, jelly balls.
Life in general. Like everything's
bonnet
coming.
head,
Yes,
sharks,
I'm seeing more bonnet heads.
everything's starting to come back in.
Things are warming up.
Yeah.
The fish, I'm still seeing big schools of fish.
I would say some of them have started breaking up in certain spots.
Yeah, for sure. But there's still some good-sized schools of fish out there.
Yeah.
But I think their fish are also moving into the grass more, getting happier in those flood tide windows. And they're still going to be spooky. So looking at April, they are going to be spooky in the flood tide grass.
Yeah.
And people, I get a lot of feedback like, hey, why aren't we catching them? Generally, your presentations, your approaches, maybe even your fly selection needs to be a little more precise in April.
Yeah.
Later on in the year, you're going to see those fish get a lot happier. You'll have a higher rate. You'll always have fish that turn down a fly, but you'll have a higher ratio of fish later in the year. They're going to be, when that fly comes across his face, rather than spook off it, he's going to eat it. Yeah. But this time of year, they can definitely be spooky in the grass. And when I'm looking at April, red fishing is going to continue right into April. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be playing the low tide, mid tide. I'm going to be playing all the tides, but now I'm going to start sprinkling in, when I get the chance, sprinkling in those flood tides.
Yeah.
Expecting to see a lot of spooky fish, but I do like seeing tails in the grass.
I do. Yeah.
I do like seeing tails in the grass.
I think in general for spring, for me, March, April, especially April, I tend to like those higher water.
Oh yeah.
You know, even outside the flood tide, you know, fishing a high outgoing. You know, we had a spin trip a couple weeks ago and fished a high outgoing, and the bite was phenomenal.
Yeah. I definitely, you know, we focus a lot on the lower water in the winter, but right now, I mean, fish it all, flood tides, everything. You know, find the fish and get lures and flies in front of them. Yeah. That's actually, we kind of caught all that. How about professional development?
Oh yeah, so Rob and I took a professional development trip. We went down to South Florida for, what was it, 4 or 5 days?
We fished for 4 days. Fished for 4 days, yeah.
And fished Biscayne Bay for a couple days, and then fished backcountry in the Everglades a couple days. Biscayne was wild. I mean, just having
so clean,
that clear of water. You know, it's like an aquarium. It's almost you know, there's so much going on. You can see everything.
It's been a while since I've been that far south, and I've definitely made a fool of myself a few times where I'm like comparing our winter water. Right. Oh, this is clear like Florida, and then going down there, it's like 5 feet deep, and we're like, dude, we're about to hit bottom.
12 feet to the bottom,
it's so crazy.
Running across the bay.
I did get really fortunate and got my first bonefish on the fly down there, which you guided me on, which was sick.
Yeah. That was super cool to see.
That was awesome. We got a tarpon, tarpon.
Some juvie tarpon in Biscayne, and then we got a couple, you know, not big
small,
tarpon, but bigger tarpon in the Everglades. And I think for both of us, it was really cool to go do something very different than what we do on a day-to-day basis. And it kind of put us into the client's shoes a little bit.
Yeah, it took us out of our comfort zone. Yeah. See, I'm chasing redfish, I'm doing my thing, but it was really nice to get out of my own comfort zone. Yeah. And to get on the bow of the boat and realize like, ooh, I need to work on like, I noticed when I was strip setting on tarpon, I was letting my hook my hook slide out, my trigger finger slide out. Like things like that don't necessarily matter as much when you're redfish fishing, but like just honing these things. It's fun to hone our skills. Right. And that's where I found Biscayne and the Glades were a lot of fun, coming completely out of my element for finding, you know, totally new area, totally different, the clean water, that kind of stuff. It was fun. It was a really good refresher for
just switching it up just helps not only us become better anglers, but become better guides as well. Little things just to pass on to people that might fish with us, that it might not be the most important thing for redfish, but if you can practice it on redfish where you don't have as many consequences. It will prepare you better for other trips that you may want to do for other species.
Yeah, because a lot of people are traveling to go after bonefish and tarpon and these things, but redfish is the easily accessible. I can fish once a month or a couple times a year, or just once a year. I can do this trip more times than I can make it to the Bahamas or Belize or the Keys even. These other places that are a little farther, a little less accessible. Like our guys kind of can do that. So practicing what you're doing, making sure you're doing the right things, because a lot of guys are using redfish as keeping themselves honed for these other species. So being able to put ourselves in those shoes of chasing tarpon, chasing bonefish, and just overall, just a fun experience.
Yeah, and I think it got me really excited for our bigger pelagic species that come through in the summer.
I cannot wait. The cobia.
So I think that's worth mentioning. I definitely think that with as early as it's getting this warm, I think that there's a high probability that we could see cobia in April, probably end of April, but...
Which is where, people are going to be getting excited.
Yeah. I love cobia.
Yeah, you can spend a lot of time looking for cobia and not find anything.
Yeah.
But when you find them, it's totally worth it. But you hate them so much when you're looking.
They don't exist until you catch one.
Yeah, they don't exist until they do. And then you're like, whoa. But we've been scheming cobia season. I am excited for cobia. We've got some schemes up our sleeves to try to get on more cobia this year.
Yeah.
The jacks are going to be showing up right behind them. And then both of us have a pretty solid tarpon buzz that we kind of got dabbled with in the glades, which is real nice to put hands on a tarpon down there, or multiple tarpon actually. This is the beginning. It's all
it's
ramping
really
up.
I would say that's really starting to kick off here. Yeah. We're lucky that we can target redfish, sea trout, flounder, stuff like that all year round. But we're just getting into the season of variety where you can fish all day long for multiple different species, given the right conditions and all of that. But it's a very exciting time of year, and I'm pretty stoked.
I'm here for it.
I'm here
for it. Yeah, if y'all are wanting to get out, give one of us a shout. Happy to get you out. If we're not free, there's other great guys around this area that we love working with as well. But yeah, let us know. There's still openings for April. Yeah. And let's go. Let's go fish.
It's getting good. It's still a little windy, but it's nice out. It's not too hot, not too cold. So it's a good time to be on the water.
Yeah.